Hello out there, my name is Milesy and welcome to my channel. A while ago someone asked me to do a video on how to use a scroll frame. And I've talked about them a little bit before, but we'll go a little bit more in depth this time. I use the American Dream scroll frames, which are a really nice mix and match system. These are the 6-inch extenders on what I believe are 12-inch rods. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm using. And I've just got whatever 4 knobs were sitting around. The oak ones, which are these really nicer light ones, you can vaguely see in here that they are a little bit different. So the screws in the walnut ones with the American Dream setup, for some reason they're different and they come out really easily. So I've had to actually glue my screws in there. Whereas the oak ones are... they're not screwed in, they're pressed in. So I do like the walnut ones better, or the oak ones better than the walnut ones, but they all work fairly well. And this is a no-baste system. Specifically, it's a Velcro-based system, so we have the loop side of the tape on the rods, and the rods came with the white on there. I bought some black and added it myself just to make them a little bit easier to use. Other no-baste systems, the rods will be split in half, and instead of screwing the rod into your extenders, you would slot the rod in and the screw would be on the extender itself and it would squeeze onto the rod. I've used those and I don't like them. They are kind of garbage. They don't hold tension at all, and I've heard nothing good about them. I really don't recommend them. Other scroll frames would be a based system, where they have a piece of fabric attached to the rod in some way, and they will go either way. You can either screw those into your extender bar this way, or they would slot in and the screw would be on the extender bar. I've seen them both ways, but I vastly prefer where the rods have the screws on the end. And with a base system, you would have your fabric that's attached here, and then on your cross-stitch pattern or your embroidery, you would actually stitch your project to whatever fabric was there on your rod. They're a little bit more fiddly, but they are out there. I personally like the no-baste system just because, especially with the Velcro, you don't really have to fiddle around. You just kind of slap it on there and it's done and it's ready to go. Now these come in a huge variety of sizes. The extender bars here, these are the 6-inch. I have them in 6, 12, and 24? Question mark. I might also have a pair of 18-inch bars. And the middle hole here is for mounting it onto a floor or lap stand, although with some of them they will have more than one middle hole, which kind of gives you a little bit more control over just how big you're working with. And the 6-inch one that I have right here, this is a very comfortable size for very small projects. I've got some pretty big ones though that I use sometimes. Now these rods are what you attach your work to. I believe, at least with American Dream, they start at 12 inches and go up to 36. And I've got a huge assortment of these, pretty much everything from that range. The Celestial Horses are on the 36-inch ones. These are the 12-inch ones, I'm pretty sure. And I've just got a whole bunch. And then we have the knobs. So, what we're going to do first is put it together. So we have our screw here, and it just fits nicely into the extender bar, and we'll just kind of screw that on there. I don't want it too tight, I just want everything in one place for right now. And we can slot all of these on here, and you have to kind of do them at the same time, otherwise it doesn't work. There we go. So that's the base shape. Let's zoom out a little bit. That is the base shape that we will be working with, and the knobs over here, we'll put those on later. Now on our work, which I've taken off, but that will be fine, on the back side I have put the hook side of the tape. And with this, I always like to leave a few extra inches of margin on either side, just because it's easier to cut off the Velcro tape than it is to try to pull it off, because it's very sticky glue and it just kind of ruins the project. So you don't want to be stitching anywhere near this. You want to add a few extra inches of margin. Some people like to stitch on the underside. I prefer to stitch on the top. You can, if you want, stitch where you are underneath the scroll frame, but I don't like doing that. It's just awkward for me. So we have our hook tape and we have our loop tape, and we're just going to put this right on here, and that'll give us a nice tight hold. Make sure it's on there straight. And I'm gonna take this knob off because it is a little bit easier without the knobs right now. So we are just going to give this a roll. Hold this, you don't have to hold it tight, but tight enough to make sure that it is going on straight. That is important, because if it doesn't go on straight, it will warp your stitching, and that would be bad. So we're just rolling this up until it catches onto the other rod right over here. And now we know that that's on straight. It's not going to be going at a weird angle or stretching our design. But we don't want to stitch way down here at the bottom either, so we're just going to roll back until we get to our guy. There he is. And we can tighten this up pretty easily. And how you tighten this up, how tight you make it, will depend on how tight you like to work on things. So we're just going to screw these on just like this. And again, I don't want it super tight right now because we have to fix the tension on here, make it workable. Come on, you. Okay. So now, what we're going to do is the knobs will help hold the rods tight as we fix the tension, but it's like all loose and flobbery and not very nice. So we're just going to tighten these right now, as tight as they will go. And this is why I like the oak ones a little bit better, because the walnut ones aren't very good at being tight. Yeah, that one doesn't want to get any tighter, so we have to rely on Mr. Oak over here. And now this might seem awfully tight, but if we push down on the fabric just a bit, the rods aren't moving and the fabric isn't stretching, but where we had it kind of rolled up, it was just loose in that roll. So we're going to undo the screws just enough to loosen it up again and tighten the rod one more time. Do it again. And I can feel it coming loose again in a few places. And you want to try to make sure that you get even tension even when you're doing this. So it's come loose a little bit. You can see it's not very tight. So I'm going to loosen the bottom one now and give that a good twist. Tighten the knobs over here on both sides. And now that is some nice tight fabric. And with a small piece like this, we don't really have to worry about a whole lot of horizontal tension, because the fabric really isn't big enough to become loose going this way. If it is, this is what I do to fix that. And I do this on both sides, but this is on the 36-inch bars, so it's really hard to get the whole thing in frame. But I just take whatever cheap disposable floss that I have, and this is even pretty loose. I can probably stand to tighten this up, but you don't want to tighten it too much because it will stretch the fabric. But you do this on both sides, and that just keeps it nice and tight over here so that it's not loosening up and screwing up your stitches. You don't want that. But that is pretty basically how you use a scroll frame when you want to move to another part of the project that's down over here or up here. You would just loosen your rods, twist it up to get there, and then repeat the process to get your fabric as tight as you want it. And if you like working on looser fabric, that's fine. I just like mine super tight. It's a little bit easier for me to work on. But in the end, it's all pretty simple. If you have any questions about this, please let me know down in the comments below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. But that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a share because that really helps me out. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!